Hello, good people. Thanks for joining me again. And if you're new to my channel, my name is Anne, and on my channel, I review foreign international content. I always say we travel around the world sitting on our couches. We have conquered that subtitle, and you know what I mean, right? So if that's something you're getting into, don't give up. Keep going. It gets better. Our brains adapt. Make the font bigger, always helps. And before you know it, you forget your reading. And today I'm back. And the reason why I'm reviewing this one is for all my viewers. For all the Korean dramas that I have reviewed, I believe every video I have had a comment saying, "Anne, why have you not reviewed Mr. Sunshine?" And I was just like, if I hear one more time about Mr. Sunshine, like they said, how can you have a collection and miss Mr. Sunshine? And I was like, okay, all right, your wish is my command. I am here to please you. And it's not because I did not like the show. I loved it. It's just that it was done in 2018, but to this day, people love Mr. Sunshine. So when you are reviewing new Korean show, they're like, where is Mr. Sunshine? Mr. Sunshine, Mr. Sunshine. And I was like, I have to add Mr. Sunshine to my playlist because it is a classic. It is fantastic. And I'm not sure, I didn't do research, but I'm assuming it won a lot of awards because it's epic. It's in the genre of, like, for my American friends, like your Steven Spielberg caliber of a show. That's what I'm talking about. It's just an excellent, fantastic series. So without further ado, and to all my viewers, thanks for supporting and always commenting. It's from me to you. Love you. 사랑해. And to all my Korean friends, 안녕, 안녕하세요. So let's get to it. And once again, Mr. Sunshine is from South Korea. So Mr. Sunshine, actually, I believe, and I'm not sure, it could be the facts, some of it are probably made from history. And really, it's that period of when Joseon was being attacked, which is, I believe, a city of South Korea was being attacked by Japan. Russia wanted an in on it, and the Americans as well, okay? And really, I have to say, really, the rock star or stars of the show is the army that is called the Righteous Army. I mean, I don't know about you, but wow. Talk about being patriotic. That's what that army was. And for obviously anybody who hasn't watched the show, the Righteous Army is Korean people who fight against Japan that's trying to take over South Korea. Americans also, like I said, also in there trying to see if they can get in. And Russia was also in the mix. And they didn't have much resources compared to these giants of countries trying to come in. And they did the best with what they had. But what was also touching and heartbreaking at the same time, and that's where Mr. Sunshine, the story comes in, is they take the story and make it more like personal. They make us follow people who are involved in this. And the sad part also that really touches a viewer is the fact that even after they fought for their country in South Korea, you know how, like, you know, for most countries, if you've gone to war and fought for your country, you're considered heroes. Like, people celebrate you, they kiss your feet. They became the forgotten people of South Korea. And let's just say they go through a lot. And really, that's what the show is about. We have almost about 24 episodes, if I remember correctly. And it takes us through different characters of that. And it's like patriotism at its best, okay? That's what you call a patriot. Like, they are willing to do whatever it takes for their country to stay free from other countries. So anyway, the show starts off with us being introduced to the character of, what an excellent actor. I've seen him before in other shows as well, Byung-hun Lee, who is playing Eugene Choi. And really, he is Mr. Sunshine. And then he actually, the story, the beginning, I mean, they just start off with a bang. I mean, it starts off with him as a young boy. And really, at the time in South Korea, they had slaves. Like, you all look the same, but because of classism, some were slaves and some were noble. Like, listen, as a black person, is one thing to understand the whole thing about slavery based on racism, right? You know, white people oppressing the black people. But in South Korea, you look like me, but because I have more money than you, you are my slave. That's like, that's just another level of like, how can you hate your own? Anyway, so Eugene, it's opening up as he's a young boy. He's actually carrying a huge load of like firewood, and they're really showing that aspect of being a slave. And we got the point that him and his parents are obviously from a low class, and they're noble, and then they're slaves, and then there's the people who are noble. And actually, he is looking in the sky, and he's seeing this bird. Look at a crow. And this old man who's a noble, who's got more money, says to the little boy, "Why are you looking up?" As in, people who are slaves should always keep their eyes down, meaning you need to keep your eyes where you belong, low, right? And the boy says, well, I was kind of looking at this beautiful sky and wondering why that bird is destroying the nice, beautiful view, right? And that's when the old man, who was noble, said, you should always keep your eyes down because you're a slave. Almost like, don't aim higher, okay? Because if you do, you're probably bound to be disappointed, and really the way your life is set up, you're always gonna be below. Which was like, I mean, this is the first episode, okay? You're just like, it just hits you from the get-go. And then the next spot we see is his parents, and actually it is his dad who's being beat up, and the mother is crying, trying to save her husband. And at this point, the mother realizes there is no way me and my husband are gonna come out of this. So she helps Eugene by grabbing one of the ladies, who was a noble lady, who was pregnant, almost like holds her hostage so her son could run away. And she says, you run and don't turn around, okay? I don't care, just run. And actually what she does is she grabs this ornament that this noble woman is wearing that costs a lot of money. She throws at him and says, look, you could probably buy rice for a long time, learn how to survive, go, just go. And it's the most heartbreaking scene, but Eugene had to go. Eugene goes and he is being chased. And this boy is like 9 years old. And the actor who is playing the young Eugene, what an excellent actor. And he made us, I don't know about you, but I cry. When he would cry, I'd cry. Because, it was heartbreaking, him trying to survive in the middle of the forest. Anyway, bumps into this old man. And while this old man is there comes a white guy, American white guy, who I believe he was there for business. On the other hand, he was also a missionary who came to bring the Bible, religion. And he says he's from America. And this old man looks at Eugene, who was begging to stay with him. And he's like, I can't keep you. Clearly you're being chased. If they find you here, then I'm in trouble. I can't keep you, right? And I've seen many of you too, so I don't want to be involved. Then the old man proceeds to tell the American missionary, if you believe in God, and if your God listens to you, then why don't you go ahead and help this child? Take him to America. He's running away. If they catch him, they're gonna kill him. He has nowhere to hide in this small country of ours. Just take him. So he convinces the missionary and they take Eugene to America. So when we're introduced to Eugene, when he's older, he grows up in America, and let's just say it was not easy. He ends up in the streets and street boys are beating him. And I'm sorry, but it was really hard to watch because they're like, you are Asian, go back to they'll say go back to China or something like that. He's Korean, he's not even Chinese, but they're like, go back to China. Just the amount of racism, and he struggles. And by the way, there was a scene that touched me, right? He's watching. At this point, he is so tired of every single time he's trying to get something, they're beating him. He's gotten older. Life in America is not rosy for him, being a street child. And then he's watching this military men get off the ship, and they're walking and walking, and he sees white army men, white army men, and then there was one black man, and he just could not stop looking at him. But what does that say to him? It says to him, if he can be in the army, I can be in the army. Meaning they're taking all races, right? He was like, he saw himself in a black man. Like, think about that, people of color, right? We're more alike than we are different, because he was just like, if he can do it, I can do it. It's not just about white people who can be in the army. And what does he go? He goes and joins the army. And let's just say that's when his problems end, because now he's an American citizen and can fight for the American army. And so when we're introduced to Eugene Choi as the older Eugene Choi, he comes as an American army military guy. And so he gets deployed, obviously, which was kind of funny because his boss, who, by the way, I love their relationship, being played by David Lee. He was like, Captain Choi, guess what? You're being deployed. Guess where you're going? You're going to Asia, specifically Korea. And then to make the matter worse, he got deployed to the city where his parents were killed, and he has to go serve. So let's just say he's going back to Korea as an American military guy, but he hates the country, right? Because it's supposed to be his home, but that's where he suffered the most. So when he showed up there, let's just say he really would care much about his people, right? Because he's just like, I'm just here to do my job and get back to America that now is home. But obviously, while he is there, he meets, I loved her character. Her name is Tae-ri Kim, and she plays actually the daughter of this nobleman, actually granddaughter, that's right. But the story is told that her parents died trying to protect South Korea. So really, her parents were part of the righteous army. But when you see her, they assume she's just a rich girl who's been brought up soft. But really, behind the scenes, she is training with guns and shooting, and she is really, really good. Not interested in marriage or anything like that. She just is training because she is waiting for her time when they're gonna call her and say, go serve, because she was ready to do it. So as obviously they meet, in the beginning, they didn't like each other. And actually they met while they were, I believe they were shooting an enemy, and they see each other. They're both wearing masks. Hence the picture when they're going like this, because they're like, I've seen those eyes before. And then he's like, I've seen those eyes before. So then they kind of like, oh, you were that guy that I saw on the rooftop shooting. And then obviously they get to know each other. And really, let's just say their relationship is the driving force of the show. 24 episodes. We were just like, oh my God, like, are they ever gonna be together? I don't do spoilers, so I can't tell you, but your heart is gonna be yearning for them. As in, like, you're just rooting for them every episode for them to be together. And really, the success or failure of their relationship is based really on patriotism, especially on her part, because love is one thing, but her country comes on another level, really. And really that becomes the dilemma that they have to navigate between the two of them. It's like, I can love you, but the love for my country, it's like almost, this is my duty, I was born to do this. And I just can't see how I can walk away from this. Anyway, let me show you some of my favorite sections. So in the show, we are also introduced to Sokyo. Loved him. I've seen him many other shows. He also was, and I reviewed that, he was in Hospital Playlist. He plays a doctor, but in this one, he's like this Japanese samurai, which, by the way, my Korean friends, you should tell me, his Japanese is very good. I was like, wow, does he have some Japanese family connection? Anyway, I loved his story with Tae-ri Kim's connection was she saved him when he was young because he was starving, he didn't have any family. And what she thought was kindness towards him, it was almost like he grew up resenting her in the fact that she lived what he assumed was a soft, cushy life, and he was she was a noble girl. Almost like, what do you know about struggle when you're just a noble girl with a nice life? And then his point was, you saving me was almost like giving me hope when I shouldn't have had hope, and almost like you made me stay on this earth that's very cruel to me even longer. And then it's almost like she says to him, you know, the reason why she saved him is because every human being deserves a chance, right? So it's almost like they had that love-hate relationship, and she just never understood why he's always critical of her when she saved him. And really, the way they met was when they first met as a little boy and girl, he grabbed onto her silk skirt. And now they're older, and he's doing the same exact thing in the same scene. Once again, torturing her as far as, you know, almost like you think you're better because you saved me, that kind of thing. But you have to keep watching, because at the end, really, full circle, you know, like there is closure that was beautiful between the two of them. But I thought he did an excellent job. He could swing that sword, and anybody in his way was like, you know, like he was so good. So really loved that scene. My other favorite scene was what they call the love scene. And really what we find out is Miss Ae-Shin, she is trying to learn English, right? Because after she met Eugene Choi, and Eugene Choi speaks English, obviously growing up in America, she's like, I'm gonna learn English. And so one of the words she heard was love, but she never understood initially what love meant. So when she got to know Mr. Eugene and they became good friends, she goes, we should do love. And he's looking at her like, really? Yeah, we should. Why shouldn't we not do love? And because you're my friend, I'm your friend, let's do love. And Mr. Choi, it was like, okay. Then later, as she's learning her alphabets and she gets to the L, and her friends explains to her what love means, she was like, oh my goodness, I proposed love to him and he is looking at me like, what is wrong with you? So now she's like, oh my God, he must think I'm like the craziest person ever. But that was such a funny scene. I loved watching that scene once she connected, like, oh, I just propositioned him and didn't realize what I did. And what actually we find out is actually, Miss Ae-Shin, is how you say it? Ae-Shin is been engaged for years to get married, but her fiance has been hiding in Japan, and finally his parents is like, okay, enough, you need to come back and take over the business. And by the way, the fiance's name was is being played by Byung-hun. He was so excellent. Like, talk about, you know, he's like a rich kid from a noble family, and then there's a lot of family secrets. And when he starts to find out how many things his family has done, he first of all is very disappointed. And you have to keep watching. There's a huge connection between his family and Eugene Choi, and the steps he takes, it's almost like to repent, was very touching. Even to the point where he's supposed to marry her, and obviously he realizes country comes first, and there may also be another man. Mr. Choi is also fighting for her heart, so he really has decisions to make, you know. And in a way, it was very self-sacrificing for him, but excellent actor. I thought he did an excellent job. The other actress that we introduced to, who I loved, was Min-joung Kim. And wow, she played this owner of a hotel that's just beautiful, and she would host all kinds of different people from different countries. Like Eugene Choi stayed there, and the Japanese would also stay there. But you have to keep watching, because somehow she's connected to the Righteous Army. The way she comes through for South Korea, wow, I was like, woman power. And then there's also a connection with her father, who, let's just say, their relationship is not very strong, and he is not a very nice man. And really, let's just say she doesn't go telling everybody who her father is because of the kind of things he's done. Oh, that man was so evil, really extremely evil. The other person that I loved was the lady and the guy who took care of Miss Ae-Shin. Was this actress. I've seen her in many shows. Her name is Jung Yoon Lee, and she was just fantastic. She always excellent at playing the mother role, you know, protector. She was just fantastic. My other favorite scene was the hug scene, right? Because she's like, what's the next step with the love when you're doing the love thing? Because the first thing he said is you shake hands, and then the next step would be a hug. And she's like, okay. And it was so sweet, right? Like, this is like episode 8 before they can finally hug. There you go, Korean drama. This is not like American shows where first episode they're already there. Nope, takes a while for that affection to build. My other favorite scene was this one, because she is learning English, and at this point she's gotten to the alphabet letter of S, and she learns words like snow, sky, and sunshine. And it's almost like when she sees him, she said it's almost like a burning flame, like it's bright, like sunshine, like he brings sunlight and happiness into her life. So Mr. Sunshine, that's where the name came from, and that's why the show is called Mr. Sunshine. I love this section 2, how they learned to exchange letters. It was so sweet because they would put like a pinwheel, and that's how they would know, like, oh, I got mail. So then they would go look. It was a clever way of exchanging mail without anybody ever knowing, and it was so sweet. Like in this section, he gets a letter about a zebra, and then in the next section she gets like I think flowers. Yep, see how cute that is from him. It was just so touching. My other favorite scene that was so touching was this one. Let's just say Eugene Choi had lost someone who he really loved, and he was very sad. And she comes to him and says, "May I pray for you?" Oh, that was such a touching scene. My other favorite scene, I just call it the Cinderella. I mean, she's running after him, loses a shoe. He goes and grabs it and puts it on her feet, and it was like, oh my God, it was so touching. It was like your quintessential Cinderella moment where he's putting that shoe on there. Ooh, 사랑해. This scene was so shocking when he did this. OMG. He like cuts her hair off, her whole ponytail. I mean, you have to watch to obviously understand their relationship, but I was like, OMG. Let's just say he got it. He got to hear from the other two guys, obviously Eugene Choi, and then her fiance. Oof. I was like, first of all, how does he sharpen his swords? I mean, one sweep, cut the hair out. I was like, oh, no, you didn't. No, you freaking didn't just do that to her hair. It was very interesting. This scene was the other hard scene to watch, and very a little bit heartbreaking in the fact that now they've become really close. And this is when she's like, I care about you, but my country is over here. Okay, so the reality is starting to hit, like, whoa, what did I get myself into? Like, why did I get involved with her? Because she is not bending in either way. And the scene after this is her walking away, and the music, he's got tears in his eyes. I was just like, oh, that was hard. That episode was very hard to watch. This was another scene in episode 21 that I thought was really touching, because at this point, Eugene Choi is like, I may just need to go back home to America, because clearly she's got her mind set on saving South Korea. And really, I'm starting to get the feeling like, I don't know how this is gonna work. And she's like, well, I'll come with you. And then he's like, what? And he realizes, oh, you're using me. Really, you don't want to come to where I live. You want to go somewhere else. And this is all in strategy, in the way of obviously saving South Korea. But he catches on, and this was a very interesting scene, because it was almost like, yeah, I know you're using me, but it just goes to show it's amazing, the power of love, of like, I like how he described it. It's almost like you are a fire, and instead of me walking away so I don't get burned, I keep taking another step and another step close to the fire. Almost like, oh well, I guess I'm gonna burn. I'm gonna burn because I know what I'm getting myself into, and I'm not sure how this is gonna end for me. So this was a really touching scene, their exchange. And I felt like we're almost trying to make the best of the situation that is not perfect. Such a touching scene. The other scene that I'm gonna show is there's an exchange of rings, but you have to find out, are they married or not? Yeah, you have to keep watching. So I call this the ring episode, really. And as you can see, he spelled love on here. with the ring in the middle. And really, when she asked him, "Can I travel with you?" he was like, "Look, the easiest way is if we traveled as a couple. So on paper and in person, we need to look like we're married. So hence the ring. So you have to keep watching to find out, was that a real marriage or not?" This story had twists and turns and things they had to do to survive while she's trying to save Korea. And he is obviously not sure if he should stay in South Korea or go back home to America. Whew. I have to say, episode 21 to 24 was just like our hearts were just being like pulled in all kinds of direction. I so loved this scene. In the show, and you have to keep watching, he is mentoring, he agrees to mentor some South Korean soldiers. And one of the boys there, you can tell he joined the army because he's got revenge and he needs to get a gun in his hand so he can get some revenge. And the only way to do that was to join the army. So when he comes on, he's very, let's just say, a little hard-headed. And when Eugene Choi gets to know him, he's like, let's take all that energy and channel it into becoming like a good, upstanding army person. And eventually you will protect your country and really get what, get that revenge that you're looking for. So anyway, at this point, they've really, after he's trained them, they finally like graduated really. And they offer him a salute in honor of the great work he did with them. And he does the same. I was like, I'm gonna join the army. It was so touching. It was just like, yes, look, grateful. Yes, so touching. This is my other favorite scene. I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to do spoilers, but oh wow, talk about making the best of the situation that they've been given. On the other hand, I felt like here, when they're on the train on their way to where they're going and they have that talk, we've been rooting for them for like, I don't know, 21 episodes. And it's like, yeah. And although we know what it means, it was like so lovely and then heartbreaking, and then it's lovely and it's heartbreaking. But that, what an excellent scene. This was another scary scene where I was like, oh my God, it is over. It is over. But was it really? Was it really over? Keep watching. This scene, you're gonna need Kleenex and another Kleenex and another Kleenex. Oh my gosh, it was so touching. They were trying to protect Lady Ae-Shin, is that how you say her name? Because this whole time they learned that she had been protecting them. Remember, she was a gun shooter and she had been doing an excellent job, and this time she needed them. And they created a body wall. And this Japanese army is trying to shoot because they're trying to get at her. And they were like, not today, not on our day. If you're gonna take her, you're taking us. Meaning you are gonna have to kill us first for you to get to her, who was in the back of them where they're standing. Oh my God. Oh, yeah. That one, you're gonna need Kleenex. I have never seen. It was so touching. Okay, it doesn't matter how small you are, but together, the unity. And they just stood there, and this Japanese army is just ready to like let it rip. That was really good. You have to watch what happens. It was an excellent scene. In conclusion, a fantastic show. I recommend you watch it. It's binge worthy. It's one of those like you can't like, and because It's all there, and Netflix. It's perfect. Like, you'd be surprised. It's like 24 episodes or whatever it is. Yep, 24 episodes in a week. You could be done. I was done in a week. So definitely watch it. You have to watch to find out how their relationship turns out, what happens to South Korea and Japan trying to get in there. America's trying to get in there. Russia's trying to get in there. Like, wow, for a small country trying to like hold their ground. They didn't have much. I want to say you're true patriotic patriots of South Korea is really what the show is about. And wow, like when people say they fought for freedom, they fought for freedom and some. And even then, when they come home, they're not even considered heroes by your own country that you've given your blood and sweat and all that stuff. Was so just heartwarming to watch. The lengths people are willing to go do. They're not doing it for the honor, they're doing it for the freedom of their country. And wow, so just an excellent show. The filmography, the acting. I mean, these actors are talking, there's actors talking Japanese, Korean, English. Like Eugene Choi's character had to navigate between all three languages. There's a couple actors there who are going back and forth between Korean and Japanese. So it was just impressive. And English it was a very well done show. You feel like you're there during that period. I believe this could have been the 1800s or maybe early 1900s, but wow, the costuming and the filmography, everything was really pretty fantastic. So I say, if you've never watched Mr. Sunshine, you need to put that on your list of excellent South Korean shows to watch, because woo, you will not regret it. And I'm happy that I'm finally able to add it to my playlist, as everybody has been asking that I should do. But I would just want to thank you for joining me again. Please do subscribe. It does help my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you like. And please do comment down below if you've watched Mr. Sunshine, because it's a huge show. What was your favorite scenes? Some of them the same as mine, or did you have other ones that were like, oh, that part was really, really good? Let me know. As usual, I'm grateful. And I'll see you again when I'm reviewing another excellent foreign show. Deuces.